So I am talking to Phil Hall. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Phil.
Uh,
Where were you born?
Cumberland, Maryland, 1947. First of five children. I'm the oldest. All four of us, well, there are four boys and one girl. All four of us went into the service. Um, my two dumb young brothers joined the Marines. Didn't go to Vietnam, but they joined the Marines. Um, and I was in Vietnam when they did it, so I was really pissed at them for that because I didn't think it was very bright. But anyway, an aside. Um, We moved to DC when I was in like going into third grade ish, I think. We lived there for a while, then we moved out into Maryland, and I've been a Marylander ever since.
Okay, how did you end up in the army?
I got drafted, and 3 days into basic, after they do all the assessments, et cetera, they, well, in my case at least, they suggested various occupations. Some of those occupations, they said, might keep you out of Vietnam if that was a concern. Um, I thought, well, that's a concern. So I signed up for a helicopter maintenance course and got it. However, well, I didn't sign up. I started the process of doing that. However, there was a caveat. You had to join the Army for an extra year because they required 2 years after school of enlistment time. So you can't do it in half years. You had to do a full year. So I signed up for 3 years, given that promise, quote unquote. They sent most of my class straight to Vietnam. I went to Fort Eustis, Virginia for school, where they taught the pilots as well. Anyway, yeah, they sent most of them there straight away after graduation. They sent me to Alaska. I was there 6 months or so. Uh, Multiple things caused my brain to go wherever it went to decide that I needed to go to Vietnam and see what was going on myself. So I put in a 1049. Of course, they approved it. Next thing you know, there I am coming into Zeon, 1st Infantry Division. I thought, uh-oh, this could be trouble. But they sent me to the battalion. The company I was in wasn't the rebels, it was the maintenance crew, of course. And I did that for, I don't even know how long. And I just really got tired of running into the bunkers all the time from the mortar and rocket attacks and said, you know what? I'm going to shoot back. So I signed up for the rebels and they took me in.
All right. What was your what was your what when you got into the rebels? What was the first thing you did with you?
Um, I don't remember it all as well as most of the other guys that I've listened to on YouTube seem to have. I know they took us up on a flight. We did a lot of interesting flying, and an auto rotation was involved. And I remember the initiation, having to chew up that pepper and then drink the beer, after which I promptly threw up outside. Oh God, it was disgusting. I still don't like hot stuff for that reason, possibly. Anyway, there was no dunking, as I've heard other people talk about too. So anyway, yeah, that's how I got started.
So you really lucked out. Okay.
Yeah, apparently.
All right. Were there any particular times in the rebels that were particularly scary for you, or
Yeah,
you want to recall any of them?
there were a number of them. We had a tail rotor failure. I think that was it. Like or Z, no, Like or Quan Loy. I can't remember which. We were I was about to get off. I was standing on the freaking skid, in fact, because we wanted to get out of that fuel loading zone as quick as possible. And we were in a firefight somewhere. And just as I was about to step off, because we'd almost touched down, pilot pulls collective and we're flying out of there real quick. So fortunately, I was not all the way out. And well, fortunately or not, we had to come in and do a skid landing down the runway. They had the fire trucks lined up on both sides. That was rather puckering because the fire trucks are there. That's usually not a good sign because I don't think I ever saw fire trucks other than that time. Anyway, yeah, we made a successful landing, spread the skids, and so that put us out of commission for a while. I remember blowing up some sampans, shooting up villages. Almost got hit by a jet during Tet down around Saigon. Yeah, we had to pull so much collective, as I recall, that the rotor blade warning beeper came on because you had not sufficient rotation speed. The jet that flew under us, I don't know how it missed us because, man, and it was black. I remember that. So somebody said that was South Vietnamese Air Force. I don't know. Somewhere around that time, Wells had to come in and land and pick up a captain who had been killed because apparently medevacs weren't available. I don't know the details there again either. But yeah.
Were there any particular fights that um, did you run into any of the anti-aircraft fire that DNV had?
No, the only time I encountered any of that stuff was coming back one night. Somebody opened up with a 50 on the lead ship. We were in the back ship, and I fired on it until they stopped. But I don't know what that was. No, don't know what that was at all.
Probably means you.
Pardon?
It probably means you got him.
Hope so. Yeah, those tracers look mighty big. I know that. Volkswagen size they looked like, but uh, whew, so much I don't remember. Um,
You were what were you, Spec 4, Spec 5?
Spec 4 when I started, and they made me Spec 5 pretty soon after, um, which is nice because that was extra pay, and I was saving pretty hard with a little bit of money we got. Uh, boy, it always.
Some of these times are kind of hard to remember, aren't they?
Well, yeah,
Or two, you
hard.
don't want to remember.
Yeah, they're hard to remember, and they get pretty emotional for me.
What did you think of the pilots?
They were amazing. I Yeah, yeah.
The I
Can't
think
say enough about them. They were amazing, just totally amazing. They were so bold.
I feel the same. When we got scrambled out, they were on the radios with the people we were going to help out.
Right.
Us guys in the back, we didn't know, we couldn't hear what was being said. So the pilots knew what we were flying into,
Uh-huh.
and we really didn't know until we got there. And so, you know, knowing them knowing what they were flying into and still doing it took a lot of guts, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, that's very, very true. And I remember hearing that sometimes. I don't know why that was, but I do remember overhearing conversation between the pilots and the ground, and talking about where to throw smoke and which way to fire from their position, et cetera. And yeah,
Are there any humorous times that you can remember?
well, I've recounted this one before when we did an interview at the first reunion I attended, which was in Chicago too, about as I recall again, I hope my memory's half right. We had forced landing for some, I still don't know why, um, into a bomb crater, and I strapped so much ammo around myself that when I got off the ship, I fell flat on my freaking face. Obviously, I was a little nervous about running out. Um, yeah, that was about the only really humorous one. I got another one that wasn't so humorous. I was coming back from the flight line one time, and I stopped in at one of the radio repair guys, and he must have been having a bad day because I looked in and opened the door, or the door was open. I don't remember. Anyway, I got up to him and I said, "Hey, man, how you doing?" And he looked at me and he had some metal thing in his hand. I don't know what it was, and he cracked me upside the head, right up on top of my head. I have no idea what was wrong with him, but I never saw him again or spoke to him again, at least. So
Oh, that's
anyway,
pretty good reason.
strange, pretty strange. Yeah, yeah. There wasn't a whole lot of humor there. That's for
And
sure.
when did you come back?
Uh, late '68, I think, because my last 6 months were in Germany. For some reason, they sent me there for a ship that I didn't even know how to work on. Um, yeah,
You went from Vietnam to Germany?
yeah. Well, they give you the dream sheet before you deroast out, and I thought, well, let's check it out. So there were a whole bunch of places where we had bases, and I thought, well, I'm definitely not interested in going home right now, so I'll try Germany, and I put a few others on there, and I got Germany, which was great because Germany was fantastic. I really was impressed with the beauty of the country. Of course, most of it had been rebuilt by that point. It was a lot like Maryland, which I do love.
And then what?
I was out in '69. I got out in '69, June of '69. Went in June of '66, of course.
And then what happened after you get out? What did you do?
Well, I had planned to tour Europe in my 1962 and a half Porsche 356B Roadster. What a car, man. Whew. Was fire engine red, had a sunroof, factory chrome wheels on it. It was beautiful. Oh. And then 2 weeks before I got out, I took it to this gas station that somebody had recommended. I knew a few German folks by then, and because I'd been out, I took a European discharge. And then 2 weeks before my discharge, I had the shop work on it to get it tuned up, make sure it was ready to go. And then I found it the next morning when I came to pick it up on cinder blocks. Somebody had stolen the wheels off of it.
Oh,
So I ended up suing the guy at the gas station owners because I thought they were responsible for it. And there was a rumor that had happened there before to GIs. Anyway, long story short, canceled the trip, moved in with this girlfriend that I had been seeing, and finally, and got him a job on the economy, meaning I worked at a German employment rate, which was pretty low, at the Kitzikan Hi-Fi Officers Club. selling stereos and related equipment. Yeah, so I stayed another 6 months or so. I did travel because I ended up getting married, mistake one.
To a German girl?
Yeah, nothing wrong with her. It was, um, yeah, I think part of that was because my dad, when I came home from, uh, I don't remember anything about coming home from Vietnam, but when I came back to visit, I decided to take a visit home, and I was still going to go back to Germany, which I did. But when I got out of the car, the first thing the old taxi cab, the first thing the old man says is, "Looks like your haircut need a haircut and a shave, boy," because I'd grown a goatee and my hair was touching my collar,
Yeah.
way shorter than it is now. Anyway, I think that might have precipitated my going back to Germany and deciding I wanted to get married, unquote, quote unquote. Anyway, so we moved back to the United States after that, and I went to school at Montgomery College. Boy, I felt like a toad in the desert. They were so young and naive. I felt I had to stop after getting through 2 years of it. I just couldn't do it anymore. I said, I've got to do something else. So I started working for some contractors because I had done a year of working for a contractor right after high school before I got drafted. So I had some expertise, or well, some experience, we'll call it. And so I got to work for him for that year. So once I got out, I was able to use that to work for some other construction companies. Ended up going on my own and becoming self-employed, which I did for pretty much the rest of my working life, except for a short time working for a window and door company because my wife wanted a more secure and consistent employment, uh, income rather.
So you never used your skills as a helicopter mechanic to work back in the States?
Haven't been on a helicopter since.
Is that because you just had enough of it in Vietnam, or you just had
Well,
no interest in being a mechanic anymore?
well, I felt somehow,
Well, we don't have to go with it.
I felt if I did it again, my luck might have caught up.
Yeah, I know that feeling. All right. Well, you've done all right for yourself. Uh, you've got a nice home in the hills of Western Maryland, and I've visited you there, and you have a nice wife, and so you're doing okay for yourself. And
Yes, time
now
around was a winner for sure.
you're in your retirement years, and uh, you're riding your bike just about every time I call you. You're on your bicycle in the mountains somewhere. So you're living a life, and you're doing okay.
Yeah, all things considered, that's for sure.
All right. So is there anything else that you want to add to this?
Well, um, words of wisdom I don't have. It was a life altering experience, of course, as we all know. Um, and I pretty much think about it every day.
Yeah, it's something that you pretty much can't help but think about. And and in my case, um, when I think about it, I think about it as what I once was and the good feeling I had, uh, being able to help others survive
Mm,
and the camaraderie that we had with each other.
yeah.
Um, uh, every year when I go to that rebel reunion,
Hmm.
uh, it's a highlight of my year. Uh,
Hmm.
Getting in a room and talking about our war stories with each other. It's just the
Yeah.
best therapy I could possibly have.
Yeah.
And, uh, and you and I, when we get on the phone from time to time and we talk about Vietnam, it's
Sure.
therapy for me.
Yep.
So,
Me
um,
too. Me too.
it was as as horrible as it was probably the best experience of my life, and
Made you who you are.
made me who I am. And I'm still proud that I was a rebel, and I was proud to wear that patch.
Amen. Then
Uh,
if I might throw one more thing in, and you alluded to it before too, the feeling of almost non-existence coming back. I mean, I felt great in Germany. Didn't like the army part, of course, but the German people were great. I really enjoyed that. Coming back stateside, nobody acknowledged anything about Vietnam. I felt if ever the subject came up, if I brought it up, which over time I eventually would, there was nothing there, nothing there at all. And
yeah,
that's why,
yeah. I often think that being in Vietnam um, didn't compare to coming home as far as um, I mean, in Vietnam, in our, the guys that we helped on the ground, the guys in our platoon, we were appreciated. And then you came back to the States and no one appreciated you. And
exactly, yeah,
uh,
that's the ghost part. Yeah,
that was the worst part of Vietnam, in my opinion, was coming
yeah,
home.
yeah.
So,
Even in your own family, for
yeah,
mine anyway. Yeah,
it
yeah.
happens anyway with me. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that somehow brought up the memory. I have a picture of a bunch of us, and I don't even know if you're in the picture. I'll have to look closely at it when I get my book out again. There's a picture of about 8 of us sitting down for a photo with a chrome AK-47 that one of the units apparently sent us for.
Yeah, I'm not in that. Um,
Oh,
uh,
you know the picture?
yeah, in fact, I have it, and
Oh,
I'm going to use that on your video. And also, I'd like you to send me two or three more pictures of you in Vietnam if you have them. But I'm definitely going to use that one that I think that picture was taken right after an initiation, wasn't it? The one with the chrome plated AK-47.
I couldn't tell you, Larry. I
Yeah.
don't know. But why would I have been in it then if I just joined? I mean, they would have sent it to particular folks, I would have thought. I don't know. Like I said, maybe Don knows.
Well, weren't you wearing a rebel patch in that
Yeah,
picture?
yeah, yeah,
Well, you didn't just join if you were wearing a rebel patch
yeah,
because it took you a while to earn that.
yeah,
So, well, we'll figure that out when the time comes.
yeah.
So, You want to wrap it up here, or you have something else you would like to say? Any words of wisdom?
Uh, uh, Stop having war. That'd be one.
Yeah,
That's not going to happen.
there was a poster during that time that the hippies had. It said, "War is unhealthy for children and other living things," and that's
Amen. Yeah.
truth. That's the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah. I have a little picture on my cabinet in my garage. It's a guy with a helmet on it. It says, make love, not war. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
Far better option for sure. So, yeah, I'd like to promote more love, not less war. Yeah. If we
Um,
can manage that, we'd be doing good.
a piece of graffiti that I always think about. Um, you remember the week we had our outhouses, the trains.
Hmm.
I think what was it, a 4 or 5 holer we had,
I
and
don't even remember it.
I remember going in there one time, and I was sitting on one of the holes, and there was someone wrote on the wall, in front of that hole, uh, "God is dead," signed Joe. And,
Yeah.
a few weeks later, I was back in there sitting on the same hole again, and underneath it, it would Joe is dead, signed God.
Oh boy, there's some sick humor.
I
Yeah.
thought, well, it's probably true.
Signed God, that's good. Yeah. And that reminds me of your comment. When you went there, you believed in God, and when you left, you did not. And I concur. I still don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's like who was it? Lenin said, "Religion is the opiate of the people." Yeah, yeah. I'm totally in total agreement with that one.
yeah. When I went there, I believed in God, country, and apple pie. And when I came back, I there was no God. My country hated me, and apple pie was made by a chemist.
Yeah, that's kind of